In our previous class, we have learned about English language, several category of English language learning and teaching platform, and also some definition we have got from previous class. That is, what is first language, what is second language, what is the other category of languages, what is the status of language all over the world. Today, we will be discussing a point that is what is the necessity of a global language? Can you continue without a global language? And what is the scenario? And what is the status of global language nowadays all over the world? So we will be discussing today about the issues in the first section of this class. So English is the global language. We have got a little bit information in our previous classes that English is the global language. Why? It's a kind of notion we see naturally in newspaper, in magazine, in the recent years, that a language that has the status of global lingua franca, and that is English. And for this reason, English is the global language. And what is the reason? First of all, you will say that actually the British colonial power, they spread it all over the world. And this is the reason of spreading English language all over the world. It is only the one cause that English language is spread it all over the world. Not exactly like that. Actually, we see a statement of associated article, memorable chiefly for its alternative ingenuity, reinforces the initial impression. That means we can take it granted that British imperial power, British government is spread it all over the world, and for this reason, English has become the global language. But after that, what happens? Do you know how many colonies are there at present all over the world? So the colony of British Empire, all countries got independent. And the last colony of Britain that got independent in 1997, that was the Hong Kong. So after that, it was nearly 23 years back that Hong Kong got independence. And all the country got independence from the British Empire. So after getting independence, why these countries are following English language as the medium of communication? We will be discussing that. The British Empire may be in full retreat with the handover of Hong Kong. Hong Kong was the last British colony. But from Bengal to Belize and Las Vegas to Lahore, the language of the Spectrate Isles is rapidly becoming the first global lingua franca. It means that English colonial power, they left the country. Still, English has become the common language for communication all over the world, from one part to other part of the world. We see that is the handover of Hong Kong that was happened in 1997, and the United Kingdom ended administration for the colony of Hong Kong and returned control to the territory of China, and that was happened in 1997. And after the independence of Southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe in Africa, in 1980, and the British Honduras, now Belize in Central America, in 1981, The last major colony that remained was Hong Kong, and with a population of over 5 million. And that colony, Hong Kong, got independence in 1997. As I had been talking, that is, if we take it granted that British colonial power is the one cause of making English as a global language, then we might argue that now at present we don't see any British colony. It is okay that when British government went over there, these colonies, America, Africa, and Asian continent, they went over there with their language, English language. But what is the scenario now? Why English is used in this country after finishing the colonial regime of this British government? British government actually stretches all parts of this world and all continents, and there remain 14 British territories overseas. That means 14 uh, countries over there that British had the colonial power. At its heights, that British Empire was the largest in world history. Not only the British, the French, Spanish, Portuguese, or Dutch, they also spread it all over the world. But the important thing is that the British government spread it 25%. That means 1/4 of the world surface was occupied by the British colonial power. This is also a very important information, that 1/4 of the world's surface was covered by British government. And the large areas of North America, then North America, Australia, Africa, Asia, were all parts of the British Empire at one time or other. And what is the scenario now? You see, at present, these are the red circle area are the British territories still existing. This period until the loss of the 13 colonies after the American War of Independence towards the end of the 18th century has subsequently been referred to by some historians as the first British Empire. America was the first British Empire, and that America got independence towards the end of the 18th century. That means 1776 or 1774. And still, we see the red circle. These are the 14 former colonies and known as the British Overseas Territories. Actually, they remain under British rule. The term colonies is no longer officially used to describe this. They don't want to. The British government don't want to tell these are the British colonies. They say that this is the British Overseas Territories. Still, we see that 14 parts of this world, they are occupied by British government. So the millennium perspectives, prognostications continued in the same vein, with several major newspapers, magazines finding in the subject of the English language an apt symbol of the themes of globalization, diversification, progress, and identity addressed in their special edition. So in terms of globalization, in terms of linguistic diversity, in terms of economic and business progress, and in terms of identity, English language has become a symbol of all these criteria of human sciences and human expectations and human interest. That English language has become a symbol of diversification, symbol of globalization. Why? Apart from this television program, you see the series to address the issue and as if worldwide audience when we will describe the scenario in details in the successive classes, with the idea will make it clear that television all over the world, they broadcast news and other issues related to business, tourism, higher education. All these, they broadcast this channel, news channel, television broadcast this news channel in English language, and they don't have the audience. And still, in Bangladesh, you can also see the several uh, news-based television channel are there, television um, company are there, ATN News, and also Shomoy. These are also the news-based televisions. And uh, in case of Bangladesh also, you can see that there you will see also English news presentation. All over the world, the TV program and the series based in English broadcasting has got worldwide audience. This is another point. And millions of popular institutions at a level which had simply not existed a decade before. These are the kinds of statements which seem so obvious that most people would give them hardly a second thought. So if we ask a question to other that what is the global language, without thinking much, they will say that English is the global language. Okay, thank you. Some people have, some students have written their name and ID in the chat box. Okay, you can do so. Of course, English is a global language. If you ask, they will say, yes, English is a global language. You hear it on television, spoken by the politicians all over the world. So you see the news channel and all over the world, the politicians, they are speaking in English. Wherever you travel, you see English signs and advertisement. Wherever in this world, if you travel, then you see the sign and the advertisement, all are in English language. And whenever you enter a hotel or restaurant in a foreign city, they will understand English and there will be an English menu. Okay. And suppose if you have experience of flying by Qatar Airlines, I had the experience of flying in Qatar Airlines. They will deliver you a menu in aeroplane. In one side, they will be written in their own native language. In another side, they have written the menu in English. So English will be there in restaurant, uh, in the menu. So it is also another way of getting English as a global language. And of course, they can understand English. They know their native language, and as well as they understand one language except their native language, that is English. And more or less, it is true. In our first introductory class, we have learned that half of the world population, and we have learned also that 7.8 billion people are there in this world, and half of them are multilingual. Half of them know their native language, and apart from the native language, they know another language, and what it is? It is English. Indeed, if there is anything to wonder about at all, they might add, it is why such headlines should still be newsworthy. So the headlines that we had been talking at the initial stage of this class, that is the newspaper, magazine, they will be discussing that English language has become the theme of diversification, symbol of globalization, symbol of business variety, and also identity. Okay, so it is a newsworthy topic that English is the common global lingua franca. That means a common language for global communications. English, but English in news, the language continues to make news daily in many countries, and the headline isn't stating the obvious. For what does it mean exactly? So, what is exactly mean? Is it saying that everyone in the world speaks English? Is it true? No, it is not certainly true. Or is it saying then that every country in the world recognizes English as an official language? This is not true either. So, what does it mean to say that English is a global language? Why is English the language which is usually cited in this connection? So, why English is a global language and why English, the language, is cited in the connection of global language? How did the situation arise? We have got one information, that is the British colonial power. But we also argued the situation that now no colonies are there in this world of Britain. So what is the status? Will they sustain? What is the necessity of sustaining English as their common language of communication? কলোনি যখন স্বাধীনতা লাভ করে তখন এই কলোনাইজারদের ভাষা, দ্যাট মিনস ইংরেজিকে আবার যোগাযোগের মাধ্যম হিসেবে, ভাষা হিসেবে ব্যবহার করাটা কতটা যৌক্তিক, বা তারা রাখছেই বা কেন? And could it change? Another thing is that, okay, for many reasons, the colonies and the countries all over the world, they are maintaining English as a global common language for communication. But how many years they will take English language as a medium of global communication? Is there any guarantee? Yeah. So these issues will be discussed in this course. And today our topic is, why is a global language? Or it is the case that once a language become a global language, is it there forever? যদি তাই হয়ে থাকে যে ব্রিটিশরা সারা ওয়ার্ল্ডে শাসন করার জন্য ছড়িয়ে পড়েছিল, তারা ইংরেজি ভাষা সে দেশের সংস্কৃতির মধ্যে ঢুকিয়ে দিয়েছে, এবং তারপরে ইংরেজি ভাষা গ্লোবাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হয়েছে, এই ইনফরমেশন কি এই গ্যারান্টি দেয় যে একবার কোনো ভাষা যদি গ্লোবাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হয়ে যায় তাহলে আজীবন এই ভাষাই গ্লোবাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে থাকবে? Historical background doesn't say so. There are fascinating questions to explore whether your first language is English or not. So such question can be answered in different way. If your first language is English, obviously not. And if English is your mother tongue, you may have mixed feeling about the way English is spreading around the world. We see that several kinds of pronunciation pattern, several kinds of etiquette and manner, several kinds of accent and punctuation using English language. And we see that English has a special stress pattern. That means the English speakers, the native speaker, put pressures on some special words of a sentence. Okay. And with that, so do you agree or are you agreed, or do you like that? Did you like that? So such kind of pattern is called stress pattern in a sentence. And in the same way, you will see some stress pattern in words. So the exact way of pronunciation or stress pattern in English language, and this is used by the native speakers of English language, naturally we don't see such kind of stress pattern or pronunciation all over the world. So if a mother tongue user, they think that yes, it is a matter of pride that English language has become a global language and it has been doing successful events all over the world. But your pride may be tinged with concern when you realize that people in the other countries may not want to use the language in the same way you do and are changing it to suit themselves. Okay. And we have several kind of pronunciation in our hand. And now we have a craze for the young generation. They, they will be using half Bengali and half English. And naturally we say, oh, it's a Banglish. Okay. So, coach, suppose such kind of expression they will be using. But the pronunciation we use in speaking English in Bangladesh, is it similar to the British standard English pronunciation? Or the Indian English, is Indian English has got the exact standard pronunciation as the British people pronounce? We can't give the guarantee. Even in Australian English, you see the several states pronunciation pattern. Even you see the American English, you see the different pronunciation pattern. And the same scenario we see in African continent where English is used in many countries. So you don't see the exact British pronunciation in these uh, uh, languages used by the people other than the countries where English is not the native language or the first language of many people. So if it is the scenario, then the English has been using in a different perspectives, but English language has been using. We are all sensitive to the way that other people use. So it is often said, abuse our language. Deeply held feeling of ownership begin to be questioned. So you English speaking people will feel pride in one hand, and at the same time they will feel discontent. That is, the English language has changed its standard when it goes to the other speakers all over the world. And actually, if there is one predictable consequence of a language becoming a global language, it is that nobody owns it anymore. Another point is that when English language think that from the next year, people all over the world will be using Bengali language as their communication. And the argument is that when Bengali will be using as a language for communication all over the world, we can say that it is our language. In the same way, English people, they can't say that this is their language. So such kind of ownership is denied in this argument. Or rather, everyone who has learned it now owns it and has a share in it, might be more accurate and has the right to use it in the way they want. So the people, they are using English language in their own way. Okay. Some people of Bangladesh, they will say, okay, the matter is that pronunciation is not the matter. Just to convey your message clearly with your simple and short English words. Okay. So this is also a way. That means we have the independence. Um, we have the liberty to use English in our own way to make the message clear to the other counterpart of the conversation. Suppose you are speaking with some people of the world or of Bangladesh. The point is that you have to make your idea clear. So if you can make your idea clear with your own accented English, that's okay. The fact alone makes many people feel uncomfortable, even vaguely resentful. Such kind of English might be disliked by many of this world. Look that the Americans have done to English. What the Americans have done to English is a not uncommon comment found in the later columns in the British press. Actually, the American, they use English in such a way that you will be astonished to see that their English pronunciation is quite different than the British standard English. But similar comment can be heard in the USA when people encounter the sometimes striking variation in English which are emerging all over the world. Even the American people, they might say that yes, once upon a time, we people of America had been criticized for using English in such a different way. But nowadays, what you see, the people all over the world, they are using in such a way that is, it is no more, it has become Singlish, that means Singaporean English. It has become English, that is Asian English or Indian English or Australian English, and etc. So if English is not your mother tongue, you may still have mixed feelings about it. You may be strongly motivated to learn it because you know it will put you in touch with the more people than any other language. Another point is that if English is not your mother language, so why you feel necessity to learn English? One cause is that if we know English, we can get in touch with more people. If we know French, we will not be able to get in touch as many people as we get into touch by learning English language. But at the same time, you know it will take a great deal of effort to master it, and you may begrudge that effort. Of course, learning English is not easy, and for this reason, you can also think that it is very tough to learn English language. Having made progress, you will feel pride in your achievement and savor the communicative power you have at your disposal, but may now the less feel that mother tongue speaker of English has an unfamiliar advantage over you. So you are trying to get the exact English pronunciation. Still, the native speakers, they got the upper hand, and you were trying hard to get the correct English pronunciation in your own way, but you are not trying to catch the standard English. However, always the native English speaker will get some undue facilities of using global language. If you live in the country where the survival of your own language is threatened by the success of English, you may feel envious, resentful, and angry. And another thing is that, okay, suppose when a language will be spread all over the world, one thing that the less used language will die. The people, less number of people will be using the native language, and the native language will gradually die. And this is the scenario. And we have discussed in past class that out of 6,500 languages, nearly 2,000 has already been dead languages. And this is also another reason that using one language, making the death of other less used languages all over the world. You may strongly object to the naivety of the populist account, that its simplistic and often suggestively triumphant tone of English language. This feeling are natural, such kind of feeling, and would arise whichever language emerges as a global language. So you can't blame only English language. That is, for becoming English as a global language, some languages have become dead language. It is not the scenario only for the cause of English language. English ভাষার জায়গায় অন্য যে কোনো ভাষা যদি গ্লোবাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হয়, তাহলে এই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজগুলোর লেস ইউজড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজগুলোর মৃত্যু ঘটতো। তো সেক্ষেত্রে এটাকে আপনি ইংরেজি ভাষার উপরে দোষ চাপাতে পারবেন না। এটা মোটা দাগে এটা হলো যখন কোনো ভাষা গ্লোবাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে প্রাধান্য পাবে, অন্য লেজ ইউজড যে ভাষাগুলো সেগুলো সাপ্রেসড হয়ে যাবে, এবং আস্তে আস্তে এর ভাষাভাষীর সংখ্যা কমে যাবে, এবং সমস্ত ভাষাভাষী যখন মারা যাবে তখন ওই ভাষার একজন ব্যক্তিকেও খুঁজে পাওয়া যাবে না, তখন ওই ভাষাটার মৃত্যু ঘটবে। এজন্য উই ক্যান blame only the English language. Either we can blame the global language. Either it may be English or it may be French language. And they are the feeling which give rise to fears, whether real or imaginary, and fears lead to conflict. যখন নিজের মাতৃভাষা ইনডেঞ্জার্ড হয়ে যায়, মানে বিপদের সম্মুখীন হয়ে যায়, তখনই বিভিন্ন ধরনের কনফ্লিক্ট অ্যারাইজ করে। সেটা কি? ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ মার্চেস, ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হাঙ্গার স্ট্রাইকস, ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ রায়োটিং অ্যান্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ডেথস আর আ ফ্যাক্ট ইন সেভারাল কান্ট্রিজ। Political differences over language, economics, education, laws, and rights are a daily encounter for millions. Language is always in the news, and the nearer a language moves to becoming a global language, the more newsworthy it is. So, how does a language come to achieve global status? So this is the scenario we have learned, that why global language. That means if we travel to other country, you will see their signs and advertisement all in English. You will see English menu, and also such kind of English is spread all over the world. And for this reason, English language has got a less appropriate pronunciation pattern all over the world. So it is one way from the native language status. But in another way, we see that uh, uh, the native speakers will always get the upper hand of using global language. Either it may be for English language or any other language that will gain the global status. So how such kind of global status can be given to a language, we will be discussing in the next slide. So this slide is, what is a global language? We have got a preliminary idea in our previous class that English is a global language. But when we can call a language a global language? See, a language achieves a genuinely global status when it develops a special role that is recognized in every country. We had been discussing that international language and global language. And also we got the idea that international language will be used among language within the less number of countries, but global language will be recognized and used by every country of this world. And that is the global language. This might seem like stating the obvious, but it is not, for the notion of the spatial role has many facets. Such a role will be most evident in countries where language numbers of the large numbers of the people speak the language as a mother tongue. Why English language has got such kind of status? We may got one point, that is, if large number of people use a language as the mother tongue, then English language, then that language will be the global language. আমরা একটাকে ধরে নিতে পারি যে যদি আমরা বলতে পারি যে যে ভাষী সংখ্যা অধিক, দ্যাট মিনস অধিক সংখ্যক মানুষ যদি কোনো একটা ভাষাকে মাতৃভাষা হিসেবে ব্যবহার করে, তাহলেই মনে হয় কোনো ভাষা গ্লোবাল স্ট্যাটাস পেয়ে যেতে পারে। এই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা যদি ইংরেজির সিনারিও দেখি, সেক্ষেত্রে আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে USA, Canada, Britain, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and several Caribbean countries, and a sprinkling of the other territories. এই কয়েকটা দেশে ইংরেজি হচ্ছে মাতৃভাষা হিসেবে ব্যবহৃত হয়। মোটা দাগে 5টা: ব্রিটেন, আমেরিকা, অস্ট্রেলিয়া, নিউজিল্যান্ড অ্যান্ড কানাডা। এবং এইসব দেশের ভাষাভাষীর সংখ্যা কত? অনেক কম, যেটা আমরা পরবর্তীতে জানব। যে যদি আমরা পপুলেশনটা বিচার করি, যে ইংরেজি ভাষা যদি অধিক সংখ্যক মানুষের মাতৃভাষা হয়, তাহলেই মনে হয় ইংরেজি ভাষা গ্লোবাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে স্বীকৃতি পাবে। অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইংরেজির ক্ষেত্রে আমরা দেখছি না যে আসলে কয়েকটা দেশের মাতৃভাষা ইংরেজি। However, no language has ever been spoken by a mother tongue majority in more than a few countries. Okay. Spanish leads in this respect in some 20 countries, chiefly in Latin America. যদি এই সিনারিও দেখি, আমরা ইংরেজি ভাষাভাষী মাতৃভাষা হিসেবে ব্যবহৃত হয় 5 থেকে 6টা কান্ট্রির মধ্যে, কিন্তু স্প্যানিশ এই ভাষাটা ল্যাটিন আমেরিকার প্রায় 20টা দেশে মাতৃভাষা হিসেবে ব্যবহৃত হতে পারে। And by giving such kind of argument, we can say that mother tongue use by itself cannot give a language global status. So the point is that if a language is used by many people as mother tongue, that is the issue of making a language global. It is not exactly right. In that scenario, Spanish অনেকটা দেশের ভাষা, কিন্তু ইংলিশ কয়েকটা দেশের মাতৃভাষা। To achieve such a status, a language has to be taken up by other countries around the world. So the issue is that not the mother tongue. This language should be accepted by the people of other countries. When this language will be accepted by the people of other countries, then such kind of language will get the global status that is for English. They must decide to give it a special place within their communities, even though they may have few mother tongue speakers. So the point is that not only the mother tongue users ratio, it is the cause that if many and the large number of people of the world accept English, accept a language to give emphasis on it, then this language will get prominence over other language and will get the status of global language. Not only the cause of mother tongue user. There are two main ways in which this can be done. Firstly, a language can be made the official language of the country. তাহলে একটা ভাষাকে কোনো দেশে গুরুত্ব পেতে পারে দুইটি ভাবে। প্রথমত, সেই ভাষাটাকে অফিসিয়াল ভাষা হিসেবে সে দেশে চালু থাকতে হবে। To be used as a medium of communication in such domains as government, the law courts, the media, and the educational system. First, that a language will be a global status if the language gets priority in using all domains like government, law courts, media, and educational system. To get on in these societies, it is essential to master the official language as early in life as possible. When a language will be used in all sphere of a country, then every people will think it necessary and they will try to learn the language as quickly as they can. Such a language is often described as the second language. Okay. Because it is seen as a complement to a person's mother tongue or first language. So such kind of language is called second language, and second language is based on priority. If a speaker thinks that yes, I will know that language for my necessity, and it is on the basis of the priority of the speaker, and that is the second language. And if a language gets such kind of priority in using all sphere of government and all spheres of the country, then that language will get prominence. Here there is a note about second language. Second language needs to be used with caution, as indeed do all terms relating to a language status. The most important point to note is that in many parts of the world, the term is not related to official status, but simply reflects a notion of competence and usefulness. There is a long established tradition for the term within the British sphere of influence, but there is no comparable history in the USA. So the second language, the term, we should use it cautiously, and especially uh, after getting official status, such kind of language might get influence. And in this regard, in Britain, English is not the official language. Even uh, America, it hasn't been declared that English is the official language. But the matter is that much number of people using English there. The role of an official language is today best illustrated by English, which now has some kind of a special status in over 70 countries. So we talked about the official status of a language. What is the official status? That the country will issue a role of using a language in governments, school, hospitals, and the other factors of the country. And such kind of scenario we see in 70 countries all over the world, like Ghana, Nigeria, India, Singapore, Vanuatu. Okay, so such kind of country, they use English as official language. This is far more than the status achieved by the other language. Though French, German, Spanish, Russian, and Arabic are among those which have also developed a considerable official use. ইংরেজির পাশাপাশি এই ভাষাগুলো ফ্রেঞ্চ, জার্মান, স্প্যানিশ, রাশিয়ান আর আরবিক এগুলোও বিভিন্ন দেশে অফিসিয়াল ভাষা হিসেবে ব্যবহৃত হয়, কিন্তু তাদের সংখ্যা কম। ইংরেজি যেমন 70-70টা দেশে অফিসিয়াল ভাষা ব্যবহৃত হয়, অ্যারাবিক হয়তো 5-7টা, জার্মান হয়তো 8-10টা, স্প্যানিশ হয়তো 12-14টা, এরকম। Now, political decision on the matter continue to be made. For example, Rwanda gave English official status in 1996. Still, the number of using English as the official status at the country, number of the country, that is increasing day by day. And we see the present scenario that Rwanda in 1996, they have taken a decision that English will be their official language. Secondly, a language can be made a priority in a country's foreign language teaching, even though this language has no official status. Okay. Another, বললাম আমরা অফিসিয়াল স্ট্যাটাস, আর আরেকটা যদি অফিসিয়াল স্ট্যাটাস নাও থাকে, প্রায়োরিটি লিস্টে যে ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজগুলো থাকবে তার মধ্যে সেই ভাষাটা থাকতে হবে। It becomes the language which children are most likely to be taught when they arrive in school. The one most available to adults who, for whatever reasons, have never learned it or learned it badly in their early educational years. Russian, for example, held privileged status for many years among the countries of the former Soviet Union. So the language should come in the priority list of a country. Then the language will get priority among the users of all over the world. And Russia, in the Soviet Union countries, there was such kind of priority that the people will be there, that is, they have to learn English. And such kind of scenario we see in Bangladesh. Okay, that is, you go to English school, and of course there is a compulsory language subject, that is English. So Bengali, English, these are the basic subject. So but we don't feel it necessary to apply other language teaching in our educational system, and that is the priority list of a language. Mandarin Chinese continue to play an important role in Southeast Asia. So in this regard, Mandarin, they can also play a vital role. English is now the language most widely taught as a foreign language in over 100 countries. Previously, we have learned that in 70 countries, English has been used as official language. এর 70-র মধ্যে আমরা এটাও বললাম যে ব্রিটেন, আমেরিকা কিন্তু নেই। ওকে, কারণ এদেশের সব মানুষ ভাষা ইংরেজি হিসেবে ব্যবহার করে, এই জন্য তাদের অফিসিয়াল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ডিক্লেয়ার করা প্রয়োজন পড়ে নেই। এদের বাদ দিয়ে 70টা দেশে ইংরেজি ভাষা অফিসিয়াল স্টেটাস পেয়েছে। এর বাইরে আরেকটা কারণ যেটা বললাম, যেটা প্রায়োরিটি লিস্ট, যেটা হলো সেকেন্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে ব্যবহৃত হয় না কিন্তু ফরেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে ব্যবহৃত হয়, সেই রকম দেশের সংখ্যা প্রায় হচ্ছে ওভার 100। এর মধ্যে বাংলাদেশও আছে। Such as China, Russia, Germany, Spain, Egypt, Brazil, and the most of these countries, it is emerging as a cheap foreign language to be encountered in school, often displacing another language in the process. ইন্ডিয়াতে সেকেন্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ইংরেজি, সিঙ্গাপুরের সেকেন্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে ইংরেজি ব্যবহৃত হয়, মালয়েশিয়াতে সেকেন্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে ইংরেজি ব্যবহৃত হয়। এগুলোতে তাদেরকে ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজকে স্টেটাস দিয়েছে, তার মানে অফিসিয়াল স্টেটাস সেকেন্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ। কিন্তু চায়নাতে কিন্তু এটাকে সেকেন্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে ব্যবহৃত হয় না ইংরেজি, বরঞ্চ তারা কি দিয়েছে, এটা প্রায়োরিটি লিস্টে লিখেছে। জার্মানির ক্ষেত্রে, রাশিয়ার ক্ষেত্রে, ব্রাজিলের ক্ষেত্রেও তাই, এবং বাংলাদেশেরও ক্ষেত্রে তাই। সো ইন বাংলাদেশ, ইংলিশ নট আ সেকেন্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ, ইট ইজ আ ফরেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ, বাট ইট ইজ ইন দ্য প্রায়োরিটি লিস্ট। কিভাবে আমরা বুঝলাম যে স্কুল, কলেজ, সমস্ত জায়গায় ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের উপরে মাতৃভাষার পরে যে ভাষার উপরে গুরুত্ব দেওয়া হয় সেটা হলো ইংরেজি। In 1996, for example, English replaced French as the chief foreign language in schools in Algeria, a former French colony. Previously, we talked another issue that colony থাকলেই যে সেই ভাষা সেই দেশের কমন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে ব্যবহৃত হবে, সেটার কোনো কারণ ঘটতে পারে না। যেমন আলজেরিয়া একসময় ফ্রেঞ্চের কলোনি ছিল, সেই দেশে ফ্রেঞ্চ ব্যবহৃত হতো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে, কিন্তু সেটাকে রিপ্লেস করে তারা এখন ইংরেজিকে গ্রহণ করেছে তাদের ফরেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে। And in reflecting on this observation, it is important to note that there are several ways in which a language can be official. It may be the sole official language of a country, or it may share this status with other languages. It may have a semi-official status, being used only in certain domains and taking second place to other languages while still performing certain official roles. Many countries formally acknowledges a language's status in their constitution, like India. Some make no special mention of it, that is in Britain. In certain countries, the question of whether the special status should be largely recognized is a source of considerable controversy, notably in the USA. So in case of Britain and USA, we see such kind of controversy. So this is about, similarly, there is a great verification of the reasons for choosing a particular language as a favored foreign language. তাহলে প্রায়োরিটি লিস্টে ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ কখন আসে? এখানে বলা হচ্ছে যে অনেক কারণ থাকতে পারে। সেটার একটা কারণ হলো হিস্টোরিক্যাল ট্রেডিশন, পলিটিক্যাল এক্সপিডেন্সি, অ্যান্ড দ্য ডিজায়ার ফর কমার্শিয়াল, কালচারাল অ্যান্ড টেকনোলজিক্যাল কন্ট্যাক্ট। ইংরেজি অনেক দেশে ফরেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজকে প্রায়োরিটি হিসেবে শেখা হয় কেন? তার একটাই কারণ, একটা হলো হিস্টোরিক্যাল ট্রেডিশন থাকে, পলিটিক্যাল ট্রেডিশন থাকে, আর একটা থাকে হচ্ছে ডিজায়ার ফর কমার্শিয়াল, কালচারাল অ্যান্ড টেকনোলজিক্যাল কন্ট্যাক্ট। এবং এসব কারণেই একটা ইংরেজিকে চুজেন ফরেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হিসেবে রাখা হয়। And even when the chosen and the presence of the language can vary greatly, depending on the extent to which a government or a foreign aid agency is prepared to give adequate financial support to a language teaching policy. In a well-supported environment, resources will be devoted to helping people have access to the language to learn it through the media, libraries, school, and institution of higher education. So there will be an increase in the number and the quality of teachers able to teach the language. শুধু প্রায়োরিটি দেওয়ার ক্ষেত্রে সে দেশের ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ শিক্ষা ব্যবস্থাটাকেও আরও উন্নত করতে হয়। তার মধ্যে বিভিন্ন সেক্টরে ভাষা শিক্ষার ব্যবস্থা থাকতে হবে, কোয়ালিটিফুল টিচার থাকতে হবে, এবং বিভিন্ন বুকস থাকতে হবে, টেপস থাকতে হবে, কম্পিউটার্স থাকতে হবে, টেলিকমিউনিকেশন সিস্টেম থাকতে হবে। Distinctions such as those between first, second, and foreign language status are useful, but we must be careful not to give them a simplistic interpretation. So, the distinction of first language, second language, and foreign languages. In particular, it is important to avoid interpreting the distinction between second and foreign language use as a difference in fluency or ability. Fluency এবং অ্যাবিলিটির উপরে ভিত্তি করেই সেকেন্ড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ এবং ফরেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের মধ্যে পার্থক্য করা চলবে না। And there is an example. In the Emirates a few years ago, for example, I met a couple, a German oil industrialist and a Malaysian, who had quoted through their own common language, English, and decided to bring up their child with English as the primary language of the home. So, একটা জার্মান এবং মালয়েশিয়া, এই দুজন হচ্ছে একটা কাপল। তাদের একটা এক্সপিরিয়েন্স হিসেবে বলছে যে তাদের শিশুকে তারা শেখাতে চায় হচ্ছে ইংরেজি, কারণ মালয়েশিয়ায় মালয় ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে কথা বলে, তার ফার্স্ট ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ মালয়। জার্মান অবভিয়াসলি জার্মান ভাষায় কথা বলবেন। এই দুজনের মধ্যে যখন বিয়ে হচ্ছে তখন তাদের সন্তান কোন ভাষা শিখবে, তো তারা ডিসিশন নিয়েছে যে তাদের সন্তান শিখবে হচ্ছে ইংরেজি ভাষা। কেন? কারণ এটা হচ্ছে তাদের কমন বাসায়, তারা জার্মানও ব্যবহার করে না, আবার মালয় ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে ব্যবহার করে না, তারা ব্যবহার করে হচ্ছে ইংলিশ। এই জন্য তাদের শিশু ইংরেজি ভাষায় শিখবে। সো হিয়ার ইজ আ বেবি লার্নিং ইংলিশ অ্যাজ আ ফরেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অ্যাজ ইটস মাদার টাং। So mother tongue হিসেবে সে একটা বিদেশি ভাষা। There are now many such cases around the world, and there is a question over the contribution that these babies will one day make the language, and once they grow up in the important people for their institution, about English will inevitably be different from those of the traditional native speakers. So when the English will be learned and taught in such a way, যেখানে জার্মান এবং মালয়েশিয়ান পিতা মাতার কাছ থেকে যখন ইংরেজিটা সে শিখবে, তখন অবশ্যই সেই ইংরেজিটা অন্য দেশের থেকে একটু আলাদা হবে। So English has already reached this stage. The statistics collected in chapter 2 suggest that about a quarter of the world's population is already fluent or competent in English. A quarter, that means 1/4 people of the English, they are of the world are fluent in English, and this figure is steadily growing. In the early 2000, that means around 1.5 billion people. No other language can match with this group. Okay, so অন্য কোনো ভাষা এরকম এত তাড়াতাড়ি জনপ্রিয়তা পায়নি বা মানুষের মধ্যে ব্যবহার হয়নি। Even Chinese, found in 8 different spoken languages but unified by a common writing system, is known to only some 1.1 billion. চাইনিজ আমরা জানি যে সবচেয়ে ঘনবসতিপূর্ণ দেশ হলো চায়না, সেখানেও আমরা দেখতে পাই যে সেখানে 1.5 বিলিয়ন পিপল ইউজ চাইনিজ। ওকে, কিন্তু ইংরেজি 1.5 বিলিয়ন। সো দিস ইজ অ্যাবাউট ইংলিশ, why English and is taken as a global language. We have got the scenario. Okay, so you will have 15 minutes break, and after that we will be going to the next slides. Okay, so Enjoy your break time.